$1.99 for 9 as he comes in again from that southern end. Past umpire Archer, big lift to the front leg, and he bowls him middle peg. So the West Indies have won their 8th successive victory against England, their 3rd in a row. They've won the series. They congratulate themselves, aware that England have suffered yet another defeat at the hands of the all-conquering West Indians.
And it's caught, it's all over, Allison is gone. So there it is, the whitewash. The West Indies very convincingly win the series by a margin of 5 test matches to nothing.
It is a win for the West Indies by 9.
No one could have beaten them. They are the champions. And this film will show you why they're likely to remain so for decades to come. It does not blame or exonerate England. It tells how a chain of tiny third world islands transformed a game into an international crusade.
Cricket is probably the greatest unifying force in the West Indies. Cricket is a way of life, it's a field of endeavor in which we as West Indians have excelled.
I think it's helped put Barbados on the map. The black man can stand and feel 10 feet tall. When West Indies do well, they feel proud, they're uplifted.
Cricket is the lifeblood of Antigua. We measure our contribution to the development of international relations by the exploit of our men on the field.
Jill was playing cricket with me on a pasta one day. She bowling like Sobers and I couldn't get the ball play. She start with in and out swingers that puzzle me. Every time that I make a stroke, I missing she bowl it slow, I on my toe to blister she. But when I play for her break, it was googly. She tell me, hit it, oh you're missing it so. Hit it, you used to brag before. Hit it, if you could handle me. Hit it and let me see. Hit it in the corner. Hit it in the cover. Hit it in mid-wicket. Hit it, hit it, hit
it. Barbados is the size of the Isle of Wight. It breeds more outstanding cricketers per parish than England does per county. Every weekend, more than 200 teams are in action here. Cricket was brought to Barbados by the English military and middle class. It's still redolent with their homesick words. Pickwick play here at Kensington Oval. There are grounds called Blenheim and Queen's Park, and clubs named Empire, Wanderers and Spartan. But there are humbler grounds where, on Saturdays, goats may no longer safely graze, for cricket spread like cane fire across the island. A less privileged local population showed a stunning, intuitive talent for it, even with the most primitive equipment. Cricket became a way of life, and for some, a passport to another, richer world.
Come on. Yeah. So who's the best cricketer among the whole lot of you?
Me.
What do you do?
Cricket from school.
You're a batsman?
Yeah.
Who are your big heroes then in cricket?
Gary Sobers.
Right. You're the famous batsman around here.
Yeah.
Who is the most famous batsman Barbados has ever produced?
Gary Sobers.
Oh, we play with all kind of things. You know, something like that, like the palisade that I'm looking at over there, that paling there. We took out people's paling and we cut a bat out.
I can remember I started out, you know, with a made-up bat, you know, bat that was made, you know, obviously from a piece of the coconut tree branch. Then we started out carving our own bats, you know, from a chunk of the pitch pine wood, because, you know, we all wanted to be big then.
We used to knit balls, get a rock, and put it in cloth, and wrap it up, and knit it with twine. And sometimes the tar off the road. We used to get the tar off and roll it and make a cricket ball. You can afford to buy even a tennis ball in those days.
It was one of the ways, too, I think, of keeping out of trouble. We break up from school at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll play until it got dark. And then during vacation, we'd play every day. I would have been sent on an errand to get rice or sugar or peas, something like that. And I would leave home at 10 o'clock in the morning and get back at 6. Of course, I would be spanked, but I'm afraid I'll do it all over again the following day.
If one appears mildly overdressed for a Caribbean beach, there's a perfectly good reason for it. These beaches are only on loan to the sun worshippers who come down from England and the United States. Their true function is much more important. These are the nursery slopes of West Indian cricket. Beach cricket has an exuberance all of its own, but from it is born the immensely fast bowling and the uninhibited stroke play that has lit up test match grounds all over the world.
You see, certain shots you can play on the beach and get away with, you can't play on land. You get more bunks on the beach. For instance, we take tennis balls and we take it home and put them on the stove and burn off some of the fluff. So they come down here in the evenings, wait till the water come up on the sand, and when it's going off, we start bowling.
Do you get any spin bowling as well? Because we haven't seen any.
Yeah, you do get 1 or 2 spin bowlers, but the guys prefer to bowl fast.
Does England need reminding? It's on a barrage of remorseless, very fast bowling that West Indies in recent years have attained a status of near invincibility.
The ball comes off fast and learn to play the fast bowling a lot better. You see, and the bunks, right? The bunks, you get a lot more bunks on the beach when you get on hard wickets, on the hard ball wickets, right? You get a lot more bunks and the speed is much faster.
Cricket is high on the curriculum at every school. To go to Harrison College was instantly to be pitched into the game at the fiercest competitive level. The system produced some legendary performers.
Harrison College meant a lot to me because I played for the school in cricket, I played for the school in football, and I was Vicar Ludorm a couple of years. And then, of course, I was there when the new ground was open, and I had the privilege of scoring the first century as a youngster. When I was at school, that's all we did. We played cricket morning, noon, and night. So the talent came through pretty early. We weren't coached, we were advised by the masters sometimes, you know, well, you want to play forward or you want to play back, it depends on the conditions, and that was it.
Your foot was going this direction, the bat hanging out here. Too much space between bat and pad. I know the ball is not going to move that much down here, but you must still keep the bat very close to the pad when you're playing. The footwork is important in this game.
The kids come along from the primary schools, they come into the secondary schools, and right away you can see the talent. I think it's a natural ability.
You understand? Yeah, okay.
It's just a little bit of coaching, maybe to tell them things about running between the wicket and how to, you know, play off the back foot, off the front foot. There's no problem with holding the bat. So there's a lot of natural ability with the Barbadian kid.
Even though you were on the front foot and close, you were driving from here. Your body wasn't, you know, your body wasn't over the ball. You need to be more over it, and you can go through the shot. This way, you tend to go in the air, right? Okay? Let me see you do that better next time. Okay, let's go, bowlers. Let's get in there.
We have a lot of English teams coming over here from various tours, and I find that the British teams are no match for our youngsters. The Barbadian players are at least 3-4 years ahead of the British players. They can, like I said, they know the cricket, they can play their shots. You find the British players, they're better coached, they're well coached, they know about cricket, but as far as, getting runs quickly or being there with the game, we find that, or even our younger players, sometimes we have to match an under-16 team against a British under-18 team to have a comparable standard.
In these circumstances, an elderly, balding, overweight sports writer thinks of many things, like blood group and next of kin. It's not quite like facing Marshall or Holding, but imitation is a powerful motive, and the fast-bowling epidemic has spread to the schools. Even at 15, they can seem pretty sharp. Crises like these call for deviousness. By the time you reckon you can get one in the middle of the bat, you cajole a polite white lad to pitch up a slow half volley for technical reasons. You can't, of course, pull the same trick twice. And the difference is that on his 16th birthday, Clyde Walcott was opening the batting for Barbados. For most of its 100 years, there was no question of a black man coming here to the Wanderers Club, unless it was to bowl at the nets or serve pink gins to the planters. That day has gone, without revolution or bloodshed.
Up until comparatively recently, teams like the Wanderers, which happens to be my club, was all white. Wanderers, which is the oldest club in Barbados, 1877, it's over 100 years old now, really was formed from the owners and the merchants of Bridgetown. That was the Wanderers. Now Pickwick, which was the other white club, and traditionally so, played at Kensington Oval, they were more the business people, the clerks, and so on, who were operating in town. And they were the two first white teams. Then Spartan came in, and Spartan was really composed of very well-educated, mainly colored Barbadians, the professionals, the lawyers, the doctors, the civil servants, and so on. And after Spartan, then came Empire. Empire, lower down the social strata, very nice people, but more black people, as it were. And those clubs, Empire particularly, have provided both Barbados and West Indies with many, many great cricketers.
Out here in the cane fields, the 1930s were the tinderbox years. Achievement at cricket did not mean social acceptance. Cricket became a political issue.
Well, prior to the founding of the league in 1937, invariably the white men were the batsmen and the colored chaps were the bowlers. And this derived from the fact that the bowlers were permitted to go onto the grounds of the privileged class and have a net, but they had a net as bowlers. And they were given some form of incentive. The batsmen would put money on the stumps and dare the bowler to knock it off, and if they knocked it off, this meant more cash coming your way.
By the 1960s, tiny Barbados was strong enough to challenge the world.
The unsuspecting visitor to Barbados could pass a dozen, well, quite celebrated cricket grounds without even knowing that they're there. On an island as small as this, of course, land is at a premium. So what you tend to see is a bumpy clearing in a cane field populated only by sheep. But then, if you stop and take a closer look, you discover one of the secrets of West Indian cricket. You see this distinct plateau of earth, a pitch completely without any grass. Earth which is then beaten out and rolled, and when baked in the sun is quite as good as any pitch you'll see in English county cricket. I'm amazed you put all that water on there. See, if that had been in England, you know, the match would have been off for the day.
Yeah.
How long is it going to take for this thing to dry out?
By 11 o'clock this year should be.
So it just bakes on top and that's
Yeah.
it? What is this wicket? We've got just a bare earth surface. What's underneath it?
It's have marl filling.
Marl filling under here. Yeah. So should this be fast? Would this be a fast wicket?
I'm hoping for it to be fast.
Yeah, yeah. But I suppose, really, you could fiddle the wickets, couldn't you?
Fiddle, really.
Fiddle them, you know. When you tie out a quick wicket for your for your own, you know, whichever way you want it for the
At the moment we are batting, so.
So this is why we're doing this?
Yeah.
We're cheating?
No, not really.
Not really.
It's club grounds like these that offer the young male West Indian the way out, rather as the local boxing gym has for generations of impoverished American blacks. The West Indies are now the recruiting ground for world cricket, but the rivalry is fierce.
The general standard of club cricket in competition is really very strong because we are all competing for that goal at the top, which is the cup, and from there it's the Barbados team, and there's a possibility you could be onto the West Indies team also. So it's really tough. You've got a lot of cricket to play.
At St. Catherine's, across the island from the fashionable beaches, plantation hands, hotel waiters and the unemployed wait for their Saturday chance to impress. They have to pay to play, and it doesn't come cheap. There's no professionalism here.
To play cricket, you'd pay like over $100 for a bat. Pads is about over $100 also, and boots over $100 also. To buy those 3 items, you'd have to work about, in my field, you'd have to work about 2 months. Yeah, I would really like to become a professional cricketer and maybe see if I could get close to the test team, if not on it. That's my main ambition. Many of us have that ambition, a real big ambition to become a professional or a test cricketer.
There's a reason why West Indies are now not only the best, but the best disciplined cricket team in the world. Should Ofney Sargent break through, he will train, conform and do nothing to jeopardize his place. There would be 10, 20 men waiting to see him rusticated back to his village. The stakes are high now, and there's little for him here.
I was a chemist for a while at a sugar factory, then I worked in government for a while, but I'm still playing the cricket right now. I'm helping my parents on the small holding we have, and on the land we grow a bit of cane, some bananas and okras and cassava and a variety of different crops we grow on the land.
Ghettos are still ghettos, even in the sun. Yet it was from backgrounds like this that both Everton Weeks and Garfield Sobers emerged.
With this talent, where do you see your future?
Well, I would love to play cricket in England someday, and also go on to represent my country in probably the West Indies.
So that would mean going to England and playing for a county or playing in the leagues?
Yeah, county or leagues.
Mrs. Sargent, if he got an offer in cricket from abroad, would you like to see him go?
Yes, I would like to see him go from the depths of my heart. I would.
Why is that?
Well, because you know that this Barbados is a little hard, it's tough, tight.
Hard for him to get a job here?
Yes, very hard to get a job.
How good a cricketer is he?
Well, he's very nice.
Have you ever earned any money from cricket?
No, not really. Not really.
I mean, I know you won a few...
I've won a few awards, like Man of the Match awards, but not a fixed salary as such.
Do you pray for Ofney and his future?
And his future, the world at large, throughout the whole university, here, there, and everywhere, especially where the precious words of God is uplifted. And I hope that the future of Ofney will come to be a success. I hope that God will help you, that you would inspire me.
And you think God will help him?
And God will answer prayer. He does answer prayer.
Here at St. Catherine, it's a bright and sunny day, and the St. Catherine resuming at 57 for 162 runs.
The Royal Barbados Police, playing here for their third island championship in 3 years, don't rely overmuch on God to provide the island's best cricketers.
We actually find ourselves in a rather privileged position in that we are recruiting very young people for the force every year. And in recent years, too, we've had expansions. And of course, during that period, we've had our eye on cricketers. We're well aware of what is happening in youth cricket in Barbados. Many of them make applications to join the force, and generally speaking, they're selected. But within the force, we're very, very keen on cricket. Over the last 2 or 3 years, we've had an excellent team, a nice combination of young men who are talented, they've got a lot of skill in cricket, they're learning and developing rapidly, but they have combined under the leadership of their captain, Leslie Rifa, to produce very good results. And obviously this is reflected in the fact that they have, over the last 3 years, won the national championship, quite convincingly too.
Practically all the big institutions and businesses, like the banks and the breweries, pour money into cricket. But it's not merely sponsorship handouts. They raise and run their own teams. The police's prize coup was to recruit a young batsman who couldn't even read music.
At first they thought about playing the drums, but I couldn't dance, and they said if you can't dance, you can't play the drums. So then they put me on the bugle, because to blow any other instrument, you got to learn how to lip. And I went through that process. And while I was going through that, I had the opportunity of playing for police. So my first game I played was against Foffy Williams, E.A.V. Williams, who played for the West Indies and was also one of the best bowlers in the fast bowlers in the West Indies, playing for Empire. And I played for police, and I batted about number 6 or 7. And I remember going in very late in the order, and Foffy, the second new ball, and I was getting behind this ball, and Foffy Williams did a sign, put his finger under his throat, and I didn't know what that meant. And in those days, when a fast bowler wanted to bowl a bounce or hit somebody, he used to do that to the wicket keeper. And I was so young and innocent, I didn't know what it meant. And I stood up there, and next thing, this bouncer came down, and I got inside a little bit too late, and I got hit in the jaw. And it didn't hurt me, but I was scared. Anyhow, I turned up about 3 days later, and Captain Raison looked at me and said, "Sobers, where have you been for the last 3 days?" I said, "Well, I got struck in my jaw on Saturday, sir, and my jaw was swollen very big, and it was hurting me, and I wouldn't have been able to blow. And I had asked some of the boys who were playing in the team from the band to report to you and let you know what had happened to me." Oh, he said, "Well, I didn't hear anything. That obviously that you're not interested in being in the band, and I'm afraid you better leave some room for somebody else."
Gary hardly missed out. At 16, he was playing for Barbados against India anyway. Cricket here is what soap opera has become to America and Britain, an alternative existence. It is everywhere you look and listen.
And good morning. Just 1 day left in the Barbados Club season, and while police know that Division 1 Cup is theirs, the other 11 teams in the championship are fighting it out for the minor positions. So there's still plenty of possibilities, although by all logic, it appears as if it will be Wanderers second, BCL and Empire third, and St. Catherine fifth. I'll be hearing from the Barbados Cricket Association President Peter Short, and I'll be hearing from Ricky Elcock, the young fast bowler whose career has been temporarily interrupted by a serious back injury.
COZIER on cricket. For the next half hour, eminent sports commentator Tony COZIER talks to cricketing personalities and looks at the state of cricket.
I couldn't visualize the West Indies without a Viv Richards or a Gary Sobers or a Frank Worrell. These are people who adorn West Indian stamps. These are the heroes of the West Indies. Cricketers are our heroes. Cricketers adorn West Indian currency notes. We have one or two politicians who have laid the way towards independence, but they're very much secondary in the estimation of the people of the West Indies to the cricketers.
Cricket has made me into a more socially accepted person. I don't know if that's a good thing, but a lot of people will talk to me because I'm Everton Weekes the cricketer. I'm not so sure that they'll talk to me because I'm Everton Weekes the person. But I am prepared to accept both types of individuals.
And materially, what's it given you? 2 BMWs in the garage?
Materially, it's, I'm comfortable. I get a couple of meals a day, and I can travel fairly freely, and I don't think I've invested too badly. And cricket was responsible for this.
Gary Sobers became Sir Garfield at an investiture on the Barbados racecourse in 1975, the third West Indian cricketer to be knighted. His father had drowned at sea in wartime, and he'd been raised with no privileges bar one, a genius for cricket. He became, unarguably, the greatest all-rounder the game has ever seen.
My father died when I was very young. My father died when I was about the age of 6. And whatever games or whatever sport we played, we had to try and organize them ourselves. I think that most of the people who lived around the Bay land, that's where I lived, and that's what it was known as. And I think they recognized that among my family, that my brothers and I had the ability to play sport in general.
And that he's got to pick that was the right distance. He's hit that out of the ground. That's another one. Goodness gracious me, that peppered the top. You see the chap climbing up there to have a look over the wall. 52 in 29 minutes. That's another one up in the enclosure. 3 balls, 3 sixes, 58. What an incredible bit of hitting. Ooh, he's got that shorter one. It's up again. There it is, bouncing on the concrete. 4 sixes in 4 balls. This makes him 64. 4 sixes. Wonder where Nash is going to bowl this one. And that will just carry. No, he's going to be out. Caught out. Oh, he dropped it. He's over the boundary. 6 it is. 5 on the trot. Oh, this is incredible. Now, this is 6 on the trot's a world record. Been done before, but 70 on the board. And he's done it! He's done it! And my goodness, it's gone way down to Swansea.
Ironically, on another Caribbean island, an even greater batsman was already in the making.
What a batsman.
No doubt in my mind that we will continue growing. Go spread the great good news to the world, Antigua coming. Vivian Richards and Andy Roberts, our West Indian pride. Climbing up to new vistas and our cricket won't be the same. Like stars in the night, our future looks bright. They have given our cricket new life. Vivian Richards, an aggressive master batsman and ball. And Andy Roberts, the fastest bowler.
He's our hero. He's our hero. I would say everybody in Antigua loves him.
Write your name in his story.
He's really, really loved in this country of ours.
In pure, simple terms, he's one of our national heroes.
Both Viv Richards and Andy Roberts made a breakthrough in terms of Antigua. We were left out. The smaller islands were not really within the ambit of what was being done for West Indies cricket. It was Sir Frank Worrell who came along and did some coaching sessions here, who stated that in the future, the West Indies team will have to depend upon the Leewards and Inland Islands for many of their stars. Vivian Richards is a fulfillment of that vision of Sir Frank Worrell, and we see it as such.
It was only 21 years ago that the Leeward Islands were admitted to West Indies cricket. Within a decade, yet another rich new vein of talent had been tapped. Here on neighbouring St Kitts against visiting Trinidad, a team as young as choir boys is led by Vivian Richards, a man less captain than sheer icon. On their home island of Antigua, Richards and his fast bowler colleague Andy Roberts had shown another generation the riches that cricket can bestow.
The smaller islands, as we term them, were not being looked at for cricketing talents. It was more or less the bigger four, Barbados, Trinidad, you know, the big islands. And with Viv and Andy, things have really changed, you know. All of a sudden, we're being looked at. Everyone wants to know, well, where's Antigua players come from all of a sudden? And we're just taking it in strides. We have some pretty good players coming through. We have good school programs, youth programs, and the guys can see where they're going and they're heading towards that destiny.
Here, tomorrow's Test cricketers are encouraged to play in the shadow of today's. The whole strength of West Indies cricket is vested in emulation, a timeless relay of passing the torch.
Well, I can remember seeing a couple of teams, you know, came to Antigua. It was a Barbados team with, you know, which had a few West Indian players. And after seeing these guys, you know, and it gave me the particular urge, you know, when Sobers came out to walk, the way he pushed the gates, you know, because he had this way of walking to the crease, you know, which at that time I just saw that and I said he didn't need to make a run or anything like that. You know, I just felt moved, you know, by seeing people like the Seymour Nurses, the Clive Lloyds, and just seeing the way they did things. You know, I said, well, you know, that was a perfect example, you know, for me. And I just started to work a little bit hard at my cricket. I started to even practice, you know, even more.
For Vivian Richards, the rewards have matched the acclaim. He's what every West Indian boy aspires to become. They could have no finer criterion to live by. Cricket has brought him a lovely home above the seedy streets of his boyhood. Along the coast, a TV satellite dish and elegant villa represent a fraction of Andy Roberts' rewards from cricket. He now commands a view of the bay where he was born the son of a fisherman. Roberts retired from fast bowling and returned to fishing, but now as owner of the fleet. This evidence of success, attainable by anyone of any class, is another of the powerful forces behind West Indian cricket. In the recent West Indies strategy of hellfire pace bowling, Roberts was a trailblazer. It won a lot of test matches and local immortality. Richards is likewise commemorated in the street where he was born and where his parents still live, proclaiming their beliefs for all to see.
He's humble. He's brought up in a Christian home. He acknowledged his great creator. He served him. And the result, when you serve him, you get your reward abundantly in many ways.
He's a tough man. He's obviously, you know, he was a jail warder, and sometimes he used to instill some of the discipline they had in the jailhouse at home. And
we're talking about the odd walloping?
Yeah, the odd times, yeah, especially, you know, when I wasn't supposed to have done something.
I was a disciplinarian, and that's account of my stewardship of the prison. Associated with prison, I do agree that I brought some too many discipline for the prison home. My wife will tell you that. But it serves as a purpose, because they're standing firm on a solid rock.
Vivian first went to school here, next door to the prison where his father kept order under Old Testament guidance. It's a vibrant place. The Richards' gifts, of course, lay in another direction. He was moved on from these crowded classrooms to the grammar school to develop a cricket talent which was already startling.
We used to play competitive cricket in the schools. He was selected to play as an open bat in those early days. You might find his potential to be amazing, but even at that very early age, when the pads used to reach him under his waist, he was a thorn in every bowler's flesh, because he had this desire always to make centuries, and he had this will not to get out.
He's born with cricket in his blood, and the gift that he has with a good eyesight, that he can maneuver anything. Nothing can beat it when a man can see it. When a man can see, he picks that ball up at any moment. Will he make his own strokes?
Well, I think eyesight's got a lot to do with it. I've got to give thanks, for the Almighty Father for blessing me with, such wonderful eyes, because I'll tell you that I've got wonderful eyes. There are times I could be playing a particular game, and I left a ticket for someone at the gate, and just for curiosity's sake, I'm looking around the ground, and I could spot that particular person, and that's how I test my eyesight. And I believe, until I stop, doing that sort of thing, well, I should be all right for a little while.
Richards does not play fast and loose with his greatest professional asset, a superb physique. He's also very conscious of his responsibility as West Indies captain. His team train harder than any other in cricket. There are no voluntary practice sessions. You either do what you're told or you're out. Though the majority of his cricket is now played abroad, he's never considered home as anywhere but Antigua.
Oh, I feel very deep about my country of birth. I don't want to hear no one saying any bad things, about my country. Obviously you go to places where people are, where's that on the map and all that, it's a little dot, so maybe it might be a little dot, but, it's life is so peaceful and comfortable, and it's all right. And I think, if you come here for a little while, you'll see that, you'll see the peace. I don't think you'll want to go back, That's how deep I feel, and I'm very in love, with my country.
Viv came along at a time when Antiguans were aspiring to become free. And as such, he personified the aspirations of the people of this country. His excellence, his strong feeling of nationalism, his very bearing, his image, the projection of himself as being competent in pursuit of excellence, were the sort of things which we figured were important as a new nation.
St. John's, capital of a new nation whose entire population equals only that of Northampton. To meet its people is to discover another motivating force of West Indies cricket, national pride. There is nothing else at which they can beat the world. Cricket is the sole currency of national esteem, winning cricket, that is.
Always the West Indies were asking or begging for something. We were underdeveloped. We were reading that all the time, that we're not a developed country, we're a third world. In cricket, we were not. In cricket, we were the most developed country in international cricket. We were first world in cricket.
Worrell, seen here passing the 50 mark, stayed for a delightful 85.
The man who did more than any other to inspire the supremacy of West Indies cricket was Frank Worrell. Until 1960, West Indies would not entrust the captaincy of their team to a black man. Worrell, who could mix with monarchs and stevedores with equal ease, found that amusing. He informed his black players that since they were under the social searchlight, it would be appreciated if they would behave well, dress well, and win.
Saturday's crowd is a world record 90,000.
Under Worrell's captaincy, West Indies went to Australia and played the most exhilarating test series ever seen. 7 years later, aged 42, Sir Frank Worrell died of leukemia. One mission achieved.
Frank had that degree of stature, that personality, where colour didn't seem to matter. And he was able to mould West Indies into an efficient fighting unit.
I think a lot of people misinterpreted Frank Worrell in his early days. He was seen, from what I can understand and listening to the older people talk, he was seen very much as a stirrer. Here was this man coming in the 1950s and talking about things which we were talking about in the 1970s, about the racial influence on the game in the West Indies. You go back to Sir Larry Constantine, who also saw this, and who wrote in the 1930s that West Indies cricket would never reach its full potential until it had a black West Indies captain. Now, people saw that as racist.
Black people have been suffering for, in some cases, you know, for over 400 years, you know, and it's something that we need to go there and deliver the goods, you know, to give these sort of people, or our people, the sort of upliftment that they need, because it's not coming from anywhere else. So it's right there, you know, that you've got to be strong, and performance-wise does help, you know, one's mind, and can help, you know, the multitudes as well.
And that, though no white sports writer could say it without stirring a hornet's nest, must be the most fundamental explanation of all.
Basically, my game has always been to go out there and to enjoy myself. God gave me a particular talent to go out and play the way I'm doing, and let it be so. And I feel until I stop feeling this particular passion for the game, the way I love it, you know, I still love it. I still love to go up and hug a guy when he does well, he gets a wicket. I still like to get involved, and still like to go around the boundaries chasing balls and trying to run guys out, and still try to do the things, you know, obviously when I was 22. You know, but it's nice, and I still got a little bounce, so until I lose that bounce, I'm going to continue.
The Stars return to the Antigua Recreation Grounds this Friday, 7th February. It's the high-flying Leewards against England in 4 days of first-class cricket at Antigua's premier sporting venue. The Leewards versus England from February 7th to the 10th at the Antigua Recreation Grounds. Don't miss it.
Richie Richardson, soon to be a thorn in England's side in the tests, plays for the Leewards against England early in their tour. The master, Vivian Richards, doesn't play. Though it probably means several thousand fewer spectators, there's no resentment. He's a potentate with a whole campaign to plan. England, anyway, are relieved at not having to bowl at him.
Certainly, once you're on the field, it's all hard work. I mean, you can tell that as soon as you see the ball whistling past your nose. I think that, you know, there's some work to be done. We're getting more used to pace again, as we all know. I mean, the West Indies is based on pace. When it comes to batting out, you have to be used to that. So as long as we adapt with the pace, then we'll be all right. But I wouldn't say that you'd come out here strictly for fun if you wanted to play cricket for 2.5 months. I mean, they are all of a reasonable standard. It's probably a question of ambition. It is virtually the only game they play. But the thing is that everyone is so interested.
Yeah, the chances are pretty good. The talent is there. It's just for the youngsters to come of ages and, you know, make the best use of their opportunities, because this is the time for opportunity.
Well, I'm planning to make it to the top. I don't know how soon, but I'm putting out my endeavor best to see if I can make it.
Crowds here, as everywhere in the Caribbean, are noisy, partisan and knowledgeable.
it's going to take about at least about 20, from today, about 20 years for anybody beat the West Indies. Because I'll tell you why. We have everything to offer. Good batsman, good fielder. The West Indies, I'm not saying the Leeward Island. The West Indies combined is very, 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 very good.
Richardson edges Botham under the stern gaze of his mentor, Vivian Richards. Even though not playing, the West Indies captain is omnipresent, urging, encouraging, inspiring.
Hooks and hooks down towards backward square leg. Fine shot, 4 runs. Short, going down the leg side, pivoting on the back foot, and pulling that ball around, and it raced away to the boundary, and that's 4 runs. So good confident start.
When Viv is around, he has a great influence on us. Everyone wants to go out and hit the ball. And with a bit of coaching, we've been able to curb our natural tendencies to be flamboyant, and we've become more mature as batsmen. But we have not lost that flair.
Before the tour is over, England's cricket writers, let alone cricketers, will urgently be needing a drink.
If you would, Peter Smith from Antigua is in cricket.
It is to become the most infamous series since Bodyline in Australia 54 years earlier. And the basic cause is the same: fast bowling that can maim and will eventually kill. This is not an examination into why England lost the series so comprehensively, for that would be intrusion into public grief. It is a glimpse at why West Indies won and are likely to go on doing so.
We're going to blackwash you. Remember, we whitewash you in the West Indies, we blackwash you. That's understand? Okay. We blackwash you in the West Indies. We whitewash you in England.
Richards and Roberts, they've really influenced us a lot, really. Because all of a sudden, young guys want to be fast bowlers. Everybody wants to bowl fast. They're naturally big, strong guys, and they're really bowling quick these days.
In Antigua, I could say, the reason why I guess we have a lot of fast bowlers, these fellas, they enjoy hitting people, you know? They enjoy seeing people get hit. So I guess that's the reason I could say, you know? Everybody trying to bowl fast, you know, trying to get you scared, to get a good laugh, you know. They like a lot of, you know, fun, so they see it as fun to have you bobbing and weaving, you know, so everybody just try it.
This is now what you have to face when you play West Indies at a game once known as cricket. It isn't cricket, or much approximating to it. Of the 80 English wickets to fall in the first 4 test matches, 79 went to the West Indies fast bowlers. The 80th was a run-out. It is an astonishing statistic. It would be inappropriate for England's cricketers to squeal. They've not acquitted themselves well, and in some cases were visibly reluctant to get into a professional fight. It was not always as devastating as this. What, hopefully, you've seen is why West Indies play like this and will continue to do so unless halted by some international cricket legislation. There are plenty more fast bowlers waiting in the wings. That said, we have just witnessed England's most humiliating cricket beating overseas. The alternative to restricting intimidating bowling, of course, is retaliation. But that is a fearful prospect, and in any case, we don't seem hungry enough as a nation to want to try. Until we are, no one can contest the local verdict.
We are the champions. We come down to play Australia. We are the champions. We beat Pakistan and India. We are the champions with victories over England. We are the champions. We are known as the West Indians. And when we bat it, we play captivating cricket. And when we bowl in, hitting bing ding, we take in wicket. In every nation, over every sea. We are the champions, we are the West Indies.
The publication, where